Right, so this is the last set. It's a 6 question set, and ideally, I would not call this really difficult, but yeah, there is too much of information that you shouldn't miss. And if you miss even a small point, you will end up getting the wrong answer. So because of that, I would say probably the set is above moderate level, not because it's very difficult to crack, but yeah, there are too many small finer points that you might end up making a mistake. So let's take a look at the entire set. So you have 3 people here, Kallu, Kalan, and Kalia. So there are 3 people here who are making different types of finished dishes. There are 4 types of raw material: cheese, butter, vegetable, and Maggi. And they make, using these raw materials, they're making some dishes: cheese Maggi, butter Maggi, vegetable Maggi. Well, whatever. A lot of Maggi-based stuff, I hope. Anyway. So there's some information given to us about the raw material. So to make this cheese Maggi, let me call it as CM, they use 1 portion of cheese and 1 portion of Maggi. To make butter Maggi, they use 1 portion of butter and 1 portion of Maggi. Veg Maggi, VM, they use 1 portion of vegetables and 1 portion of Maggi. Mixed vegetable Maggi, I will call this as MM. Here they use half of all of them. Each is half. And you have vegetable, cheese, butter, salad. So let's call it as VS. In VS, the vegetable is 1 unit, but the other 2 are half unit. So cheese and butter, half unit each. So this is the composition, which is what has been mentioned. Okay, so we'll keep this in mind. Let's move on. Now, here the cost prices are given for each of the raw materials. So you have cost prices given here for Maggi, then you have it for cheese, then butter, and then vegetable. And of course, given this, you can also find out the cost of each dish, because the sum of the raw materials that are used is nothing but the dish. But the selling price of the dish is 50% more. It's 50% more than the cost price. So you're selling it at a 50% profit. However, this is 50% more. Where was that? 1.5 times the cost of the raw material, but this 50% is the loss that they take if any raw material is left out. So there are 2 50%. One is the 50%, 1.5 times means 50% increase in the selling price. So that's the profit percentage is 50%, that is 50%. The other 50% is in the last hour, that is the 4th business hour, that is the last hour. If any raw material is left out, it is sold at half the cost. Also, it is mentioned that none of the 3 people sold leftover Maggi, which means Maggi was not left out. And each of them sold some raw material. So everybody sold some raw material or the other. So these are the finer points that have to be kept in mind. And at the end of the hour, all finished products are sold and none of them are sold or left out at the end of the day, which means whatever finished product is made has been sold. So nothing has been sold at half the cost, right? So that's basically what has been mentioned. Now let's go ahead and take a look at what happened in each of the business hours. So they've given us the amount that has been earned by each one of the persons here in these 4 hours. So you can see Kallu earned 225 rupees, 195 rupees by Kalan, and Kalia 210 in the first business hour, and so on and so forth. So we have a plethora of information. Let's put all of that together and see what is happening. Again, there are few pointers which has been given to us to be kept track of when we are making this set in terms of numbers. First thing is, each man sold at most 1 unit of any product or raw material in any hour, which basically means you are not selling two of the same thing in any 1 hour. Right? So for example, cheese Maggi is sold only once in 1 hour. It cannot be sold 2 times by the same person. Yeah, 2 different people might have sold it, but in that 1 hour, 1 person will sell only once. Or raw material also in any 1 hour. So raw material also, you can't sell 2 units of raw material. That is effectively raw material is sold only in the final hour, right? 4th hour. So basically what they're saying is, in the final hour, the raw material is not sold. You can't sell 2 raw materials of butter. Only 1 raw material of butter has been sold in the last hour. That's what it means. In the first and second hour, cheese Maggi was sold only by Kallan, which means in the first 2 hours, cheese Maggi was sold only by Kallan in the first hour and Kallu in the second hour, which means cheese Maggi was not sold by the 3rd person in the first 2 hours. Similarly, in the second and third hour, mixed veg Maggi was sold only by Kallan and Kalia in the second and third hours respectively. So it was not sold by Kallu in the second and third hours. So mixed veg Maggi, was not sold by Kallu in the first hour, in the second and third hour. It was sold only by these two gentlemen. And of course, there's one more statement given to you, the number of units of cheese Maggi and mixed veg Maggi. So this is again a long statement. So let's first go ahead and start making these tables. So to save some time, I have already made these tables. So you can see Maggi, these are the costs given. Okay, and which means cheese Maggi is one portion of cheese plus one portion of Maggi. So cheese plus Maggi is a total of 70. So that's what it is. And 1.5 times the cost price is the selling price, which means 1.5 of 70 is 105. So this is the selling price of your cheese Maggi. Similarly, butter Maggi is butter plus Maggi. So butter is here, Maggi is here. So 30 plus 20 is 50. And 1.5 times of 50 is 75. So this entire table gives you the selling prices and cost prices of the 5 dishes. Okay. Then what else is given to us? Yes, so the other information is, this is the most important table that you need to make, because here we're going to look at who is selling what. It is mentioned that Kallan and Kallu sold cheese Maggi in the first hour and second hour respectively, and nobody else is selling it, which means Kalia is not selling cheese Maggi in the first 2 hours. Remember, there is no cheese Maggi here, there is no cheese Maggi here. Similarly, was sold only by Kallan and Kalia, which means there is no here and there is no here in the second and third hours. This has to be kept very, very clearly in mind. So given this, let's take a look at what is happening. Now, let's start with what is half known. 195 rupees is collected by Kallan, out of which we know he sold CM. CM cost is 105. Total is 195, which means he should have sold another 90 rupees dish. There is only one 90 rupees dish, which is VM. So this has to be VM. So this way, we will start filling this table. So there are two dishes sold in every hour. Let's understand what is the combination. Then you have a So cost is 105, and you can see the total is 180. So 105 is so the remaining has to be a 75. So 75 has to be a butter Maggi. BM. Then you have a here. Is again a 105, and this is 210. 105 is and the total is 210, which means the other dish has to be another 105. Which other thing is 105? It is CM. So this is and CM. Remember, CM is not there by Kalia in the first and second, but it can be there in the third. Similarly, if you come here, our 2CM is again 105, but this is 195. So out of 195, 105 is accounted for. The remaining has to be 90. 90 is only coming from VM. Now let's start looking at the other things which are not given to us. So 225. What total can give me 225? 225 can be a total of only two things. 120 plus 225, right? Yeah, 105. This is the only way in which you can get 225. Now, 120 is very obvious. This is VS. But what is 105? There are 205s. There is a cheese Maggi and there is a But remember, Kallu is not selling cheese Maggi. Kallu is not selling cheese Maggi. So it has to be It has to be There's no choice. Similarly, if you look at 210, 210 can be 105 plus 105, or it can be 120 plus 90. Now, if you look at 105, so this is, if you take it as 105 plus 105, please remember, this person Kalia is not selling a CM. If he is not selling a CM, 105 and 105 is not possible. Then the only possibility will be 120 plus 90. So 120 means it is VS and 90 means it is VM. And look at this 195. Again, this 195, what are the possibilities? I can have 195 as 120 plus 75 is one possibility. What else is 195? Can I have? Yeah, I can have 105 plus 90. These are the two ways in which I can get 195. Now remember, 120 plus 75 means it is VS plus 75 is BM. Whereas 105 plus 90 means VM plus, now the 105 can be cheese Maggi or one of these two. So we are talking about this space, second hour of Kalia. Now remember, second hour of Kalia cannot be it cannot be CM also, because CM is there only for Kallu and Kallan, And mm is there only for Kallan and Kalia in these respective hours mentioned, and nobody else is doing this again. So cm and mm both are not a possible proposition for Kalia, which means this cannot happen. If 105 plus 90 is not possible, the only possibility is 120 plus 75, in which case, if I just clear this properly, this will be 105 VM and BM. So it will be BM and VS. So if you notice, we are slowly filling up each and every part. Let's look at the remaining two. So this is 210. 210 could be a total of which two? 210 could be 120 plus 90 again. 120 plus 90, or it could be 105 plus 105. Now 105 plus 105 means this is CM plus MM. CM plus MM. Obviously, MM is not there for Kallu in the third hour. Hence, this is not possible. The only possibility is 120 plus 90. 120 plus 90 is VM and VS. VM and VS. Is there any other way in which you can get? No, you cannot get 210 in any other way. And then you have the last 180. 180 is again 105 plus 75 is one way. So let me just erase whatever I don't need, so I can create the space. So this is that's the reason. The reason why I said this question is difficult is because there are too many things you have to keep track of, and you can make a mistake anywhere. So look at this. So you're looking at total of 180. 180 can be 105 plus 75, or it could be 90 plus 90. 90 plus 90 is not possible because you cannot repeat any item twice. So it is only 105 plus 75 or 120 plus, no, it's not possible. 120 plus 60 doesn't exist. 105 plus 75, that's it. That's the only possibility. So 105 plus 75. So 75 has to be butter Maggi. Now 105, again there are two possibilities. It's either CM or it is MM. But MM is not possible because MM I've already printed it, whatever is MM, which means this, if this is MM, then nobody else has MM in the third hour. So it cannot be MM, so it has to be CM. So this is the information with us. Now what is happening on the fourth hour? Now fourth hour, definitely all three of them are selling some raw material. They are selling some raw material, and also notice that they could be selling a finished product at the full price because all finished products are sold. Nothing is going for a waste for 50%. So it could be a combination of raw material plus a finished product. So if you're looking at 140, 140 could be, what could be the possibilities for 140? How can I get 140? Let's take a look at it. I can get 90 plus 50. So 100 by 2. This is one possibility. 90 plus 50. Where 50 means basically I'm saying 100 rupees worth of raw material. Half of that only, which is 140. Or I can say 105 plus 70 by 2. 105 is the finished product and 70 by 2. 70 is the raw material but half price because I'm wasting it, so I'm selling it at a half price. Is there any other possibility? 105, 120 plus 20, 120 plus 40 by 2. This could also be possible. Is there anything else which is possible? 120 plus 40 by 2 and 120, 105 is done, 90. That's it. I think that's 75 also. 75 plus, but again, this becomes too big. 75, so this becomes 40, 50, 60, 65. So 130 by 2. Now remember, no 2 or no 3 of the totals can give you 130. In fact, if you look at all of them, Maggi cannot be there with anyone because nobody is selling Maggi at the end, which means these three, if I add 111 also, I cannot get 130. 50, 90 plus 90 plus 30 is only 120. So 75 plus 130 by 2 is not possible. This is not possible. Okay. Now let's use this statement given over here to get a clarity. The total number of units of cheese Maggi and mixed vegetable cheese Maggi sold by Kallu and Kallan are the same. So what they are basically saying is total number of units of cheese Maggi and mixed vegetable cheese Maggi. So first let's take a look at cheese Maggi plus mixed veg. So CM plus MM. For each individual, total should be the same. So if you look at Kallu, what is CM plus MM? So there is a MM here. Let me change the color so that you can follow. So there is a MM, there is a CM, and that's it. So you have total 2 for Kallu. This is total 2 for Kallu. For Kallan, CM, MM and CM. So total is 3. Now they are saying that these two totals are same. The only way in which they can be same is when I have one extra CM or MM coming in the fourth hour. Otherwise they cannot be equal, because I already have 3 for Kallan. I have to have 3 for Kallu. But the third one could be either CM or MM, because it is a sum of CM plus MM which is same. So I still don't know which one is the correct one, but I know that it is 105. It is 105, right? Plus 70 by 2. 70 by 2, so what could be the total? So 70 by 2 means I have to pick raw materials whose total is 70. There is only one way in which I can do that, 40 plus 30. I cannot use Maggi because it is mentioned that nobody is selling Maggi. So that 20 cannot be used. So 50 plus 20 is not a possibility. The only possibility is the remaining two are butter and vegetable. Both individually units are sold. Now, what else is there? There's one more. The total number of cheese Maggi dishes sold by Kallu. So let me just again erase the unnecessary part. Let me just erase the unnecessary part. Okay. So where was I? Yes. The total number of cheese Maggi dishes CM by Kallu and Kallan is same as the total number of, okay, so CM total dishes by Kallu and Kallan. So if I use, okay, if I change the color, okay, I'll just erase this once again, the circles. Now I will again use a different color so that you can follow. Now I want to total CM sold by Kallu and Kallan. So CM, CM, CM. So CM total is 3. Is same as the total mixed vegetable is same as the total number of mixed vegetables. So mixed vegetable is MM, mixed vegetable Maggi, sold by the two of them. So MM total I want. So MM total is 1, 2, only 2. So MM is 2. So where will I get the third one from? I have to have 3 mm also. So if you notice, this is CM or MM. Therefore, you will say CM cannot be possible. It has to be MM, so that the MM now becomes 3. So we will get the last part clearly. This has to be MM only. CM cannot be possible. So first we identified it is CM or MM. Now we are saying CM is not possible. It has to be MM. Now this is what is given. So this is what we get. Similarly, let's continue the information or continue the task. Where are we? Yes, so this total is 165. So if you're doing the total for 165, what could be the possibility? So you'll notice that 165 is possible only in one way, 120 plus 90 by 2. There's only one way in which you can get this. If it is not 120, then it will be 105 plus 60, so that's 120 by 2. 105 plus 120 by 2 can give you 165. But you can see that 120 total of raw material is not possible, because the highest you can see is, in fact, cheese, butter and vegetables. Cheese, butter and vegetables is 120. Yeah, I think that is possible. Yes, you can have this. So there are two possibilities, 120 plus 90 by 2 and 105 plus 120 by 2. So let's take a look at it. In fact, you have this. So this is 120. 120 means VS. And you have 90 by 2. 90 by 2 is 50 plus 40. C and V. This is one possibility. Or the other possibility is 105. 105 is which one? CM or MM? Oh, okay. That is where the problem comes. Now, while this is possible, 105 plus 120 by 2 is possible. But the point is, we have CM and MM matched perfectly. If you put this as a possibility, 105, then you're increasing either CM or you're increasing an MM. Which means your entire equation which will be going for a toss, because you just matched CMs and MMs perfectly. So you either increase on both or you don't increase on either of them. You don't increase only on one side. So if I put it as 105 plus 120 by 2, while it is technically possible in terms of the addition, logically we will say it is not possible, because 105 means I am adding one more CM or one more MM into Kallan. That will disrupt the balance between MM and CM for Kallu and Kallan. Therefore, this is not possible and only one possibility exists. And then they will be looking at Kalia. So let's take a look at what is happening for Kalia. Again, I hope you understand why this is a bit complicated. So we have finally it is Kalia coming in 155. So 155 can be added as what? I can look at it as 120 plus 35. So that is 70 by 2 is one way. I can have it as 105 plus 100 by 2. There's another way. 90 plus 90, 65, 130 by 2. Or that's it. I think the other possibility is 75, which will become 2 less. So if you look at, in fact, here also, 90 plus 130 by 2, you can't have the total as 130 because we saw that the highest total here is 120 only. So this is not possible. 105 plus 100 by 2. While this is possible, but which 2 will you add to get 100? That's the problem. So you can't add any 2 or any 3 to get total of 100. So mathematically it is possible, logically it is not possible, so this is also gone. So you have only one possibility, it is 120, which means Vs, and 70 by 2. So which 2 will add up to give you 70? 40 plus 30. So it is B and V. So the entire table is now in front of you. Let's go ahead and take a look at the questions. For which of the following finished product was the number of units of items that were sold minimum? So let's count each one and see what is the total. And I will once again erase unnecessary things and create space. I mean, too much to write and too little space for me to work on. So let me erase everything. Okay, now let's start writing the items one after one. So what is the total You can see MMs are 1. If I look at R1, so this is 1, R1 is only 1. Then second R, there's 1 more Third R, there is 1 more And fourth R, there's 1 more So MMs are 4. Then if I look at CMs, first R 1, second R 1, third R 1, only 3. Then if I look at VS, first R 2, second R 1, so that's total 3, third R 1, total 4. And fourth R 2, so total 6. VS is quite high. Then we have BM, Butter Maggie, and what is that? CM, BM, VM. Okay, VM. So if you look at BM does not exist in the first R. In the second R, it is twice. In the third R, it is once. So 2 plus 1, 3. And in the fourth R, it is only once. So your BM also is coming only 3 times. Is it 3? Just check clearly. BM should be 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so Butter Maggie is coming only 3 times. And then you have VM. VM is coming how many times? First R, it is coming twice. Second R, it is coming once. So that's total 3. And third R, it is coming once more. Total, it is coming 4 times. So it's a total of 4. So both CM and BM could be your answers. Let's see. Right, so yeah, so if you're looking at the counting part for CM, actually that's the error in CM. You can see, I'll just change the color so that you can follow this. CM is once here, CM second time is here, CM third time is here, CM fourth time. So CM is actually coming 4 times, not 3 times. So that's the error. So the correct answer here should be Butter Maggie, option C. Right. Question number 16, which of the following statements is correct? So let's start with the first statement. The total number of units of cheese that the 3 men sold, the 3 men had in the beginning is the same as that of the total number of units of butter that the 3 men had in the beginning. So let's start with what is the number of cheese and butter units that they would have at the beginning. Now, if you look at the totals okay, for Kallu, cheese, where all cheese is used? Cheese is used here, 1 unit of cheese. Then where else? Cheese will be used in So half unit of cheese. So 1 unit is used here for, okay. So let me write for Kallu. So Kallu, if I start, half unit plus VS, I will use half unit plus CM. CM will be cheese Maggie, 1 full unit plus VM does not use cheese. Then VM again does not use cheese. Then VS will use half unit of cheese plus will use again half unit of cheese plus B and V. So 1 butter is left, 1 V is left. So total amount of cheese is 1, 2, 3. So 3 units of cheese has been used by Kallu. So what does the statement says? The total number of units of cheese that the 3 men had in the beginning is same as total number of butter that the 3 men had in the beginning. So I have to add up the total of cheese and add up the total of butter for all 3. Okay, so Kallu had 3 units of cheese at the beginning. Similarly, if you look at Kallan, cheese Maggie is 1 unit plus VM has no cheese in it. Has half unit of cheese. Butter Maggie does not have cheese. Then cheese Maggie will have 1 unit of cheese. Butter Maggie no cheese. VS will have half a unit of cheese. And then one more 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So this is, Kalyan has got 4 units of cheese. And then Kalia again, VS has half unit of cheese, plus VM will have no cheese, BM will have no cheese, VS will have again half a unit of cheese, MM will have half a unit of cheese. Then we have one CM, this is a CM. So let me just erase that so it becomes clearer. It is CM. So CM will have 1 unit of cheese, plus VS will have half a unit of cheese, plus butter and V. So 1, 2, 3. So Kalia had 3. So total cheese by all 3 of them is 3 plus 4 plus 3. So that's a total of 10. Similarly, if you start counting what is happening for butter. So cheese is done. I will do the total for butter also. Right, so if you're doing the total for butter and I reduce or take out the unnecessary things, you will be able to see this clearly. Again, too little space, too much to write. Right. So if I'm counting butter, MM will have half a unit of butter. Then VS will have again half a unit of butter. Then CM will have no butter. VM will have no butter. Again, VM will have no butter. VS will have butter, yes, half a cheese. And MM will have again half a unit and then 1 unit of butter. So totally, Kallu started with 1, 2, 3 units of butter. Similarly, Kalyan, cheese Maggi will have 0. VM will have no butter. MM will have half a unit of butter. Butter Maggi will have 1 full unit. CM will have no butter. BM will have 1 full unit. VS will have half a unit. Cheese and V. So that's total again 3 units. And Kalia, VS will have half a unit. VM will have no unit, so no butter. Then butter Maggi 1 full unit. VS will have half a unit. Then MM will have half a unit. CM will have nothing. VS will have half a unit and 1 unit of butter. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So again, you can see total is 3 plus 3 plus 4. It is 10. So yes, butter total and cheese total are adding up. Hence that thankfully we don't have to check for too many things. The first one itself is correct. That's your answer. Moving on to question number 7. How many units of vegetable cheese butter salad were sold during the day? So we are looking at vegetable salad total to be sold. So VS, we already did this total somewhere. VS total, yes, is 6. So that's your answer. It's a straightforward question here. So the answer is 6. Then we have which of the following is necessarily true? Kallu sold 1 unit of leftover cheese. So you can check all of them. In fact, the correct answer will happen to be D. You can see, check directly for D. The others will not be correct. Kallu, Kalyan and Kalia sold 1 unit each of leftover vegetables. So you can see that each of them in the fourth R, vegetable is there, vegetable is there, vegetable is there. So each one sold 1 unit of leftover vegetable, which is correct. The other 3, you can see that they are incorrect. I'm not showing that to you right now because I don't want to unnecessarily extend the explanation, but you can do that on your own. So the D is the correct answer for this. 19, which of the following products was not sold by Kallu? So let's see, Kallu did not sell which one? So Kallu sold MM, Kallu sold VS, Kallu sold CM, Kallu sold VM. If you notice, the only thing which Kallu did not sell is the butter Maggi, BM. There is no BM in Kallu. That is your answer. So question number 19 should be butter Maggi, option B. He did not sell butter Maggi. And finally, what is the maximum number of units of a single finished product sold by any of the 3 men? So if I look at each one, of the 3, we are looking, each one of the 5, I'm supposed to count all the 5 for the 3 men and see who sold the highest. So if I do that, and if I erase this part, now that's the last question, so I don't need all of this. Okay, so if I start with cheese Maggi, I will look at Kallu. So Kallu, Kalyan and Kalia, all 3 are case for me. That's okay. So CM, then I have BM, then I have VM, then I have MM, and then I have VS. So CM, how many CMs did Kallu sell? Kallu sold only one CM. Okay. Then Kallu sold 1. Then you have Kalia selling 1, 2. Kallu sold only 1 CM? Yes. Kalyan sold 1, 2, only 2 CMs, and Kalia sold 1 only. Similarly, BM was sold by, okay, they did not sell. Then the second person sold 1, 2 only, and Kallan sold how many BMs? 1, only 1. Only 1. So if you're looking at VM was sold by Kallu how many times? 1, 2. So 2. For the second person, VM was sold 1 only once. And by the third person, VM was sold 1 and only VM, only once. Similarly, MM was sold once and twice. MM was sold by the second person once only, and by the third person, MM was sold once only. VS was sold by the first person 2 times. VS was sold by the second person how many times? Once. VS only once. And by the third person 1, 2, 3 times. Okay, 3 times. So the question, is it highest or least? At least there are too many options, so I think it's the highest. What is the maximum number? So clearly maximum number, if you go back and take a look at it, is sold by this person. 3 is the highest. VS is sold by the third person, Kalia. So 3 is the answer. Value is 3, so the number option I think will be option A. So all in all, a set which I would say is actually tilting towards the difficult side, above moderate for sure, simply because too many points to be kept in mind. Right, I hope you enjoyed this. See you in the next discussion.